articles. The next article that we're going to explore, it's called Public Money Shouldn't Save Dirty Fashion, from the European Environmental Bureau. So it says, the coronavirus outbreak has once again shed light on the questionable practices of one of the world's most polluting industries. Emily McIntosh, which she's the analyst that wrote this, argues that government bailouts should finance a wardrobe change for the fashion industry. We're going to explain. So the consumer demand plummeted because of the crisis, because of the global lockdowns. Many brands canceled, many payments to suppliers were delayed, so millions of the world's most vulnerable garment workers were left without vital income or social protection. She says that the enormous influence that companies have on the livelihoods of the people who generate their profits has been exposed once again. Activists that have been working to highlight this power imbalance and the impact of overproduction for decades, denouncing human rights abuses such as the collapse in Rana Plaza factory. This happened a few years ago, killed around 1,000 garment workers, and unfortunately it happened. But after this, a lot of media brought attention to all this crisis that's been going on since way before, but until now. So also, it's not only the social aspect, but also the impact of chemical pollution and the large amount of natural resources on our planet that the sector consumes every year. Just before COVID-19 crisis, the European Commission announced that it is working on new European Union laws to address waste and exploitation in the textile industry. This is an initiative that started last year, together with the Green European Agreement launched by the Commission at the end of last year. So this is an attempt to tackle the climate crisis and secure jobs through the sustainable economic activity. So months after that, the civil society groups, including the European Environmental Bureau, which is the ones that wrote this article, are continuing to campaign for new textile laws to set very strict standards for environmental protection and purchasing practices. But as the world emerges from this crisis, the political decisions will have to be made. So basically what this article is suggesting, that yes, public money is going to bail out some companies, right? Or there's a process to help recover from all this crisis. But what they're saying is, why not help companies that are accountable for the workforce, for the environment, for their practices, clean practices? Why help companies that are not doing the right thing? So I think we can apply this to every part of the world, and this is why it's so important that companies are transparent with their practices, because imagine that they could report that they take care of their garment workers, and their garment workers have health insurance and they're protected in crises like this, and even if without crisis they are protected. They save on water, they don't pollute the environment, they don't use chemicals. Imagine if companies could really account for this when they need money from the government, which is basically money from the people. Then they get a bailout, then they get help. No? We were speaking about companies that are filing for bankruptcy, and one of the aspects that happen when they file for bankruptcy, Chapter 11, which is recovery, is not, they don't close operation, they recover, they readjust, right, their debt. So, but what they do is they stop paying. Who do you think? the garment workers, these factories that are at the bottom of the chain. So why help these companies that are not being accountable for their whole supply chain, right? So we've spoken about transparency and garment workers' rights. Okay, so now because of the crisis, all of this is being magnified in every possible way. I think it's a great idea, and it is important for us to know that these things happen, because when we go vote and we see legislations that speak about garment workers, that speak about their wages, that speak about environmental things, then we can vote on those legislations. You see, so we're all connected, and that is one of the aspects that make all of this information all the more relevant. So, to determine the level of support a company can receive, relevant documentation and third-party certifications should be considered to assess a company's environmental history and the consistency of its current efforts to reduce climate emissions and pressure on finite natural resources of our planets. But the continued impact of the COVID-19 crisis has revealed once again that continued economic growth, including the so-called green rate, exacerbates inequalities and is inherently linked to planetary damage.